After 5 years of owning a Keurig Mini Plus, or also known as the K10 coffee maker, I decided to buy a new machine. I had a couple of gift cards for a store that I don't always shop at, and they happen to sell Keurig machines, so I figured, what the hell, now's the time to do it. The machine that I chose was the Keurig K425. The K425 is also sold as the K475. What's the difference? It really is in packaging, and the K425 includes the optional water filter, as well as a few sample cups of other Keurig coffees. The K425 is the exact same brewer, minus the water filter, and minus the sample coffees. There is the option of adding the water filter, which I've done with mine. I've added the optional $25 water filter kit, which includes a snap-in filter housing as well as 2 activated charcoal filters. I've also added the optional Keurig drawer, which gives you storage for up to 35 standard K-cups. This drawer replaced the carousel that I used to have, which stood next to the coffee maker and took up extra counter space. The counter space that I've gained from removing that carousel allowed me to put my blender and a few other odds and ends in the exact same spot. One of the other great things about this drawer is if you store your coffee maker underneath the counter or underneath your upper cabinets. For example, if I were to put it right there and I had to fill it, all I would have to do is press down on this lever and pull forward. The entire drawer rides on rollers. It's a handy feature. Big gimmicky, but it is a handy feature nonetheless. The K425 and the entire 400 series, as well as the 200 series, falls under the Keurig 2.0 category. Keurig 2.0 was a kind of an emergency fix for the Keurig View disaster. For those of you who don't know, Keurig redesigned the K-Cup because their patents ran out. And the patent on this K-Cup is now completely expired, and they had to modify this standard K-Cup so that they could re-patent it and re-license it for the new brewers. However, because the patent ran out on the design, other coffee maker manufacturers began producing their own K-Cup machines, and there became an entire rogue industry of K-Cup manufacturers who no longer had to pay royalties to Keurig. And Keurig responded by releasing the Keurig 2.0. The Keurig 2.0 is the exact same K-Cup with a few changes. Well, very few. Actually, one change. The new Keurig 2.0 is readable by the machine so that it can tell the coffee maker exactly what brew settings to use for each individual K-Cup. Some coffees are supposed to be brewed hotter than others, some at lower temperatures, and there's different options you can set for each type of K-Cup to tell the machine to brew it a certain way. You can still use the old Keurig 1.0 cups or the unlicensed ones, but you'll have to set these settings manually if you customize each brew setting. One of the other benefits of the Keurig 2.0 system is that it allows the installation of a larger K-Cup, or the k-carafe pod, which allows you to brew several cups of coffee at one time in a larger carafe, like a traditional coffee maker. One other option is the K-Mug as well. The K-Mug is a new type of K-Cup that brews larger mug-sized cups of coffee. So you can now brew a 16 and above, I believe 16 up to 24 ounces of coffee in one shot, rather than the standard up to 12 ounce, 4 to 12 ounce brew size of the traditional K-Cup. One of the reasons I was able to justify this purchase, I could have purchased a standard coffee maker, but I like the convenience of the K-Cup, and the environmental hazard issue does bother me. But I do know that Keurig has actually made some changes to their K-Cups to make them more recyclable and to reduce the amount of wasteful materials. One example is the K-carafe and the K-Mug K-Cups use a mesh design rather than a plastic tub to contain the coffee grounds. The way I see it, My daily Dunkin' Donuts coffee is actually more environmentally wasteful than these K-cups, because the cups that I buy my coffee in, the standard plastic cups, because I drink iced coffee, you know, they're more environmentally damaging simply in sheer amount of plastic waste than a standard K-cup. The K-cups are also much cheaper than the $3 coffee a day habit that I've been trying to break. A K-cup brewed coffee will generally cost around 50 to 75 cents a cup, whereas your local donut shop might charge about $1 or so. Dunkin' Donuts, they'll charge around $2, I believe, for a medium coffee, or no, for a small, and I think it's $2.75 for a medium. So if you're trying to break your habit of going to chain coffee stores, we're going to exclude Starbucks in this right now. Starbucks is ridiculously priced. I will never go there. But the K-cup is one way to wean yourself off of that. The convenience factor is what really draws me in, because I can have multiple kinds of coffee and tea in my home that don't take up as much space as a standard coffee can, and they don't expire as readily. So once you open the seal on a can of coffee, it begins to spoil, or it begins to get stale, and before you know it, the coffee really doesn't taste as good as it used to. Obviously, these machines are not for the coffee connoisseur. They're for the casual coffee consumer, people who just drink a cup of coffee a day just for a little bit of a buzz, just to get going in the morning, and that's about it. These are not for people who are, you know, using French presses and selecting, you know, beans grown by monks in far-off lands. These are standard coffee makers that are convenient, easy to use, that really anyone can enjoy. Unless you're, of course, using Tibetan monk-grown beans that only can be grown in certain months of the year when the moon is out, and they have to be roasted at, you know, yeah. This isn't for you. This is for everybody else. And it's also not for the heavy coffee consumer. I mean, if you're going to drink, you know, 6 cups of coffee in the morning, don't buy a Keurig. Buy a standard automatic drip coffee maker. Not only will you save a ton of money, but the machines will, you have more of a variety of machines you can choose from a multiple list of multiple manufacturers. Whereas Keurigs are only made by a very few set of manufacturers. I know that Cuisinart, Mr. Coffee, those are the only other 2 brewer manufacturers that I know. And there's another one. They make the Da Vinci and the Mozart brewers. I think it's Coffee Time or something like that. But they also make a K-cup compatible brewer. Now, those brewers are not compatible with Keurig 2.0 cups. For that, you're going to need a standard Keurig brewer. Now, they're not compatible in the sense that they cannot machine read the code, but they will physically work in those brewers. Okay, let's take a look at the K425 and see what kind of features it has. We're going to make all 3 of these cups of coffee using different settings so you can see what the K425/475 offers. Now, the K425, 475, or just the K400 series, offers a 70-ounce water tank, whereas the 500 series offers an 80-ounce water tank, and I believe the 200 series offers a 40-ounce water tank, which means that you can actually brew an entire carafe from one. This actually tells you if the water's up to that mark right there, you can brew 1 carafe, but the maximum is right up here. This entire tank is, of course, as in previous models, removable for easy refill, or you can simply add water just by opening the lid here, and it does have a mechanism to keep it from falling down on you. And as I mentioned earlier, this one is fitted with the optional water filter, which gives you yet another layer of filtration. My water is filtered not only at the pump house, but it's also filtered in my fridge. I only run filtered water in my coffee makers to help prevent the building up of different sludgy elements. I'm going to take the top off of this so you can see what the filter looks like. It's a large, a tall plastic tube that locks into the base of the water tank, and at the base you'll find an activated carbon filter. At the top of the filter tube is a month of replacement and month of installation reminder. So I installed mine in January, and I have to replace it 3 months from now in March. And I can simply rotate this clock in March to indicate that it was replaced in March and needs to be replaced in June. It also offers an automatic reminder on screen to tell you when to replace the water, or when to replace the filter when the time comes. It is a resettable reminder, and it is an optional reminder. You do not have to set that to be on. So you can simply ignore that completely, so it does not nag you to replace the filter cartridge, if you so choose to. When the brewer is idle, it's in this particular mode where the screen is lit lightly, and there is an power button on screen. Just press that power button, and I think if you press the Keurig button, it might wake up. Let's see. No. So you got to press that button right there. It wakes up the machine. This model is equipped with a color display. It is a fairly useless feature. I'm not sure why Keurig went through that expense, but it's color nonetheless. I've had other Keurig machines with color displays before. I had an old commercial model. I forget the exact model I had. I think it was the K100 or something like that. And it is a touch screen, of course. Now, once the machine is turned on, it activates the heating element and it sets the boil temperature to whatever your preset happens to be. So at the moment right now, it is actually preheating. It takes about 30 seconds or so for it to get up to temperature. This has a larger boiler size than the K10 that I used to have, so it takes a little bit longer to heat up. It also has a handy white LED that shines through the water, and this is similar to the blue LED on previous models, only it's white now, and it will actually highlight the watermark, but the watermark is a little bit higher than it can indicate, so but you can see that, there's the watermark right there. It just helps make the watermark more visible, so you know when to add water. Right now the boiling is causing this metal tray to vibrate. There it goes. I think it's pretty much done now. There we are. It brings us up to, hey, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. It brings us up to the home screen. Now you can change this wallpaper. That is an easy setting to change. And what we're going to do is we're going to quickly go through the menu, and we'll go through some setting options you have here. So press the I button. You can change the language. You have a choice between English, Spanish, and French. You have a clock option. You can set the display to an analog clock so that it looks like this when it's just sitting there like that. Now we're going to put that back to digital because I'm lazy and I like to just glance at it. You can also set it, by the way, to 24-hour time. So if you're in the service and you're used to living life on a 24-hour clock, then you can simply set it that way. So just one more option you've got. Now this feature I have been using heavily. I have it set to turn itself on in the morning before I wake up, and it turns itself off after I leave the house automatically. But it also has a feature that turns the machine off if you manually turn it on, and that's the energy saver function. And you can set this to really any amount of time. So I think, see, we're going to set it to how high does it go? 3 hours. So you can have it maximum at 3 hours. So it stays on for a 3-hour period. I have mine set to an hour. But it'll stay on for 3 hours and then shut itself off. Now, while it's technically on, it's just maintaining the brewer temperature. That's all it's doing. And that makes it much quicker in terms of brewing the next cup of coffee. So if the brewer is already at brew temperature, then you'll have your coffee instantaneously. That's the only real benefit to it. It's not like it'll automatically brew coffee like a standard automatic drip. I know my father has one that has the auto timer set so that his coffee is already in the pot ready for him to grab when he wakes up in the morning. This Keurig machine does not do that. In fact, I don't think there is a Keurig machine that can do that. And that's not a bad thing because your coffee is brewed so quickly that it doesn't really matter. Now you also have your preferred brew settings. Now the K-Cup 2.0 readable ring, that's where this kind of comes into play. So you have different color codes. You have your standard K-Cup, which is no indicative ring at all. And you can set your K-Cup 1.0 settings to be strong, which I have it set to strong. We're going to turn that off. And you can set the standard brew size up to 12 ounces. And you can go as low as 4 ounces. You have a K-carafe button. This sets your brew settings for the K-carafes. I don't have any K-carafes to show you, but if you buy the K-carafe option, it's like $25 or so. I think it's about right. I might just buy one just to have one on hand, because it could be fun to have if I have multiple people in the house at some point in time. But you can brew up to 4 to 5 cups on the K-carafe. That's the maximum size. So we'll set it to its default 3 to 4 cups. Now the orange or yellow one, that's number 2. That is, I don't have any of those K-cups, but whatever you set for these color codes is what will happen when you put in one of those corresponding K-cups. So for example, if I have a K-cup that is of the number 4 variety, I can set it to automatically brew a strong 10-ounce cup if I want to. You have up to 6 of those. Now you can also set your wallpaper, as I mentioned earlier. Your home screen wallpaper, I have mine set to the carbon fiber look, but you can also change it to a solid color. And you have a few choices there. The color accuracy of my camera isn't that great, but here's an orange option. So when I go back to the home screen, I have an orange background. It's kind of nice. Actually, I think I kind of like that. You can also set the standard brew temperature from high to low. I mean, I don't know what the actual set points are. There is a guide in the owner's manual that will tell you what the set points mean. I think the standard brew temperature is... You gotta love their owner's manuals. I mean, they've clearly pigeonholed their target market. You know, I'm a stay-at-home mom, but sometimes I like to party. When you unpack your brewer, you will also receive a few other things. Now this little device here is supposedly to use to help clean out the needle. If the needle ever gets clogged, and that does happen on Keurig machines, by the way, if you're brewing a lot of hot cocoa, for example, or drink mixes that are packaged in K-cups, those drink mixes can clog the needle very easily. And this device here, you're supposed to fill it with water. You're supposed to fill this with water and then put it into the K-cup. Yeah, it fits right in here. And then you open and close this up to 5 times. It actually has the instructions written all around the clock here, so you can clean out the needle. Not sure how it works. I haven't had to use it yet, but there's also one other thing. This is a shipping disc. This is what they put in the machine during shipping, and you can just take that away, and you could probably throw it away if you want to. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do some demonstrations. So I've already got the water tank completely full, and we're going to start off by brewing an old-fashioned Keurig 1.0 cup. This is the unlicensed, cheap one that you buy at the dollar store or at your local grocery store. Often these are sold as house brand copies now, or in-store brand. Green Mountain and Keurig are owned by this. Actually, Green Mountain is owned by Keurig, or vice versa. So all Green Mountain coffees are compliant with the K2.0 standards, made since 2014, I think. And most of the more reputable coffee makers are also using the 2.0 cups. Maxwell House is one of them, of course, and Dunkin' Donuts, thankfully, is using those. So there are no compatibility issues with any of these cups on this machine that I found. These were a gift that I got this year, and I won't be drinking any of these because this is disgusting. Don't ever buy Tootsie Roll hot cocoa. It is not that good. Just buy it in the packets, whichever one you like the best, or make your own. But you can certainly use this as a hot water dispenser for that reason. So we're going to start off by putting our K-cup in the machine. Now it actually has a setting for hot cocoa. We're going to brew, we've got an 8-ounce to 10-ounce cup there, so we're going to drop the brew size down to 8 ounces. And I'm going to select the hot cocoa button. And I think, I don't know what it does differently, but we'll see what happens here. We're going to press the brew button. Okay, so there's our hot cocoa, and when this is ready, we're going to lift and pull it out. Okay, so we'll take this out. So there's sample number 1. This is our hot cocoa. Actually not that bad. It really isn't. It's just not great. It doesn't taste anything like Tootsie Rolls. I don't know why you'd want it to. Now we're going to brew a hot cup of water. We're going to brew some hot water. Now just as a quick word of caution, when you're brewing things like hot cocoa and coffee and other things, it's always good to run a hot water cycle through it just to kind of wash out the chamber. So we're going to go ahead and brew a 4-ounce tea. So let's do that now. Now when you close the lid without a K-cup, it switches to hot water mode. You can also manually engage that mode by opening and closing it quickly, and it will bring it straight to hot water. So we're going to dispense some hot water. We're going to do a 4-ounce brew, because this is a very small cup. I think it's only about 4. Let's do 6 ounces. Alright, here we go. Now this is going to have some residuals from the hot cocoa brew. That's just how it is. Yeah, there's a little bit of a cloudiness to it from that. That's going to happen. Yeah, 6 ounces. That was good. This cup will probably take 8 ounces tops. So when that stops dripping, we're going to just take that out. There's a little bit of cloudiness to that. Now, just to prove that we can just brew a very inexpensive cup of tea with this machine very quickly, I've even gone as far as to pull out some tea bags here. And now we're going to let our tea steep. If you are using a Keurig machine and you do drink a lot of tea, you're really just using the Keurig machine as a handy hot water dispenser, a very expensive one at the most. We're at that. So there's our teas. But you're going to want to buy the tea from just buy the packets, buy the bags, because Keurig tea is expensive. It's very, very, very expensive when you compare that to the price of a box of tea. A box of Tetley or red rose. We're talking about $2-3, and you buy a box of. It's also very wasteful to do it with K-cups, but if you buy a box of 18 K-cups, you're looking at around $8 to $10. So, and that's totally not worth it. You can buy 100 cups of tea for just a few bucks, and it's also better that way. Because the other thing about tea is it has to be steeped, and when you're brewing it through a K-cup, it's not really steeping that much, or at least not for a long period of time. That's why most tea drinkers that I know are using loose leaf tea and infusers, which work very well. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to brew an old-fashioned cup of coffee. Now this is Max Olive. This is what my dad drinks. And I'm more into this stuff here. I like either the Dunkin' Donuts flavored coffees, but I also like these 8 o'clock. These are just bog standard, you know, it's 8 in the morning and I want to wake up kind of coffees. I don't really care what it tastes like. So let's go ahead and put some Maxwell House breakfast blend. I have one of these left. These are old. This cup is probably about a year old, actually, from when I was drinking this stuff about a year ago. So we're going to just open the brewer up, and we're going to pop in our breakfast blend. And I'm going to use my this is a dad mug. If there ever was such a thing as a dad mug, it would be this. It's just a basic white mug from a telecommunications company that I saw at a tech conference. But anyway, I wanted to show you this option too. On these more elaborate Keurig brewers, I think the 200 series and the 400 and 500 series have this. I know the K10 doesn't have this, but you can select a stronger brew and listen to how the pump runs. And we've got to make sure we bring it down to I'll do a 10 ounce. 10 ounce should be fine. Here we go. Listen to how the pump runs, because so what it's doing is it's slowing down the pulse rate of the pump so that the water absorbs more of the coffee than a standard brew. It takes a little bit longer, but you do get a stronger brew out of it. Absolutely 100% stronger. How's our tea doing? A little weak. It's weak. Totally weak. And then again. But I could see myself drinking this. It's good. I bought the chai tea a little while ago. Forgot I had it, and here we are. I never drank it. If you're worried about overfilling a mug by accident, it's okay. This tray can hold up to, I believe, 12 ounces of liquid. To prove that point, we're going to do just that. Okay. Take out our breakfast blend. So this little device here, I believe it can hold up to 12 ounces. We're going to do 10 ounces just to be on the safe side. Well, I'm going to do 8 ounces. But I'm going to show you what happens when you brew without putting anything in there. So we're going to continue. We're going to do an 8 ounce brew, and we're going to just go for it. So it's not really that big a deal, which is why I would suggest, just in case you might have an accident here or there, I would recommend setting your automatic brew settings to be no more than 8 ounces. Or maybe 10. I mean, 8 ounces is enough. 10 ounces will fill this sucker right up. There's still a little bit of room to spare. But I just wanted to demonstrate for that reason, that you don't have to worry if you accidentally press the brew button. You can still... You're not going to make a huge mess or anything. And now for the #1 reason why I chose to upgrade my coffee maker. I can brew right into my thermos. by removing the overfill tray. You can slip a standard 16-ounce thermos directly under the brew head, and that is it. In my old coffee maker, I had to brew into a mug and then pour it into the thermos. And I could only brew up to 10 ounces because I had the smaller Keurig. And it was kind of a pain in the ass. And after 5 years, I finally said, hey, you know what? This machine has served me well. I like the Keurig concept. I know its limitations, and I know it can't brew a damn decent cup of coffee, but it's not bad. It is drinkable. Here's my my strong 10 ounce, or strong, was it 10 ounces? Yeah, it was. That is strong. Not very strong, but it's stronger. How's our tea doing? Not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. I've had this mug, by the way. I got this when I was 2 years old. Right? Yeah, about 2 years old. Two or three. This is the cup that I drank hot chocolate out of on Christmas mornings for 28 years. 30 years. 30 years. I've had this mug for 30 years. 'Cause I'm 32 now, so it's been my go-to mug for years. This is when McDonald's was pushing Garfield stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, I think I've shown everything I can show. We've wasted 3 cups of brewed beverages, plus some water, and I think I've proven my point. This machine is decent enough for the casual or the non-coffee connoisseur. Those of you who like to have a variety of coffees for guests and for yourself. You know, I'm not going to waste this. I'm going to water my plant with it. I actually have a plant at work that has been living off of Dunkin' iced coffee for 8 years, and it's thriving. So not only does America run on Dunkin', but so do plants, oddly enough. So where was I? Yes. So you know, this isn't for the this is for the like offices have these now because it is so convenient. Instead of brewing 1 cup of one kind of coffee or 1 pot of coffee a day or 2 or 3 or whatever, each employee can bring in their own, brew whatever the hell they want. Like I used to work for a printing company that had for their press shop. They had like 6 or 7 varieties of K-cups that you could choose from. You could have as much of it as you wanted, and it was a tremendous benefit to the employees. And to them, it was worth the expense. This was back in 2005 when Keurigs were just really getting popular, and it was an industrial model that had an automatic. It would automatically dump the K-cup into a trash receptacle. It was a pretty cool machine. And it was hard plumbed to the building's plumbing system. So you never had to add water. You just simply walk up to it, put in your cup, and press go. And back then, on those older machines, you had 1 brew setting, on or off. So anyway, I have bought into the convenience of Keurigs. I have made a lot of videos on Keurig machines. I've pulled 2 machines out of the dump, repaired them, and used them. One of them was a commercial version of the... It was an earlier brewer model, but it was a commercial model, and I fixed it up for the office at work, and we used it for a while, and then we just decided to buy a more modern one because it only had like 1 brew setting. I also had a newer, like a small office version. It was similar. It had a color. It was one of the first color screen models. It was missing the brew tank lid. But I did repair the machine enough to where it worked pretty well. But it kept clogging up for whatever reason, so we got rid of that one. But I fixed that one. I think I did a video on that one too. I think it was that one of those was the K100. I forget which one. And I really like the concept. Again, the environmental issues, they've been working to mitigate that. The expense is something you simply cannot escape. This is the MacBook Pro of coffee makers. It's expensive. As for cost, this brewer cost $100, and I spent about $150 when you factored in the drawer and the filter. You can buy the K100 or the K10 that I used to have, which I originally paid $100 for in 2011. The K10 now sells for around $70, $75, I think. So it's coming down in price, and it's only good for people who drink like 2 or 3 cups of coffee a week. Otherwise, it's just an annoyance. I mean, you can use it daily, of course, but if you're going to drink a lot of coffee, I wouldn't buy that model. It's very limiting in a lot of ways. So I'm going to close this video by saying whether you're for or against K-Cups, and most people I think are against them, and for good reason. If you're considering a Keurig machine, the 425 cost around $100, and the 475 is probably now about $150. So you'll save a little bit of money by buying this model, but it is the exact same brewer. I have poured over the specs for both models, and I have found no differences, other than the inclusion of a water filter and a few goodies in the box that it comes in. But otherwise, it's the identical machine. So thank you for watching, and drink on. As a footnote, I want to point out that the Keurig 2.0 machines can still brew custom K-Cups. In other words, you can buy an insert that allows it to use any ground coffee in the Keurig 2.0 machine. I've just ordered the Keurig 2.0 custom K-Cup as well as a k-carafe because I had some reward points on my credit card that I wanted to use up. So I've bought not only the carafe, but the custom K-Cup accessory as well. So I can actually use, if I decide to, ground coffee at a later point in time. The reason Keurig decided not to lock out that ability was because of the backlash that they were getting from the Keurig View. The Keurig View really was one of the biggest mistakes the Keurig company ever made. The Keurig View was designed to further restrict the kinds of coffee you can brew in these machines and lock down even further. But the key mistake they made was allowing the K-Cup patent to expire in the first place, which created a second market for rogue K-Cups and brewers. So they were going to be effectively left out of the entire industry had they continued going in that direction. So fortunately, they wisened up. And I want to also point out that Keurig is a local company to me. They're actually the next state over. They're in northern Massachusetts. I think they're in Burlington or somewhere near Burlington. And so I do want to see the company thrive because they do employ people that do shop in southern New Hampshire. And some people who live in New Hampshire actually work for the Keurig Corporation. So it is to me, it's an important thing to keep the company alive and purchase their products, but only if they make sense. I would never buy a Keurig View machine, and neither did the majority of the coffee-consuming public. So we can thank free market for that one. Have a great day, and once again, drink up.